Welcome to the Artificial Fluency Podcast. I'm Emily. Today's episode is all about improving your English listening and writing skills by listening to real-life stories. We'll explore the differences between city and village life through engaging conversations and examples. If you enjoyed this episode, please press the like button. Remember, on this channel, we upload videos every day to help you improve your English step by step. Let me start by asking you, do you prefer living in a city or a village? What do you think are the biggest differences between these two ways of life? Keep these questions in your mind as we listen to some interesting stories today. I want to tell you about my friend Ahmed. Ahmed grew up in a small village, but moved to the city for work. He says the city is very fast and busy. You can find everything quickly. Shops, restaurants, and many places to visit. But sometimes he misses the calm and quiet of his village. In the village, life is slower, and people know each other well. It feels safer and more peaceful. Ahmed told me a story about his first week in the city. He was surprised by the noise, cars honking and people talking loudly on the streets. In the village, the loudest sound is usually birds singing or children playing outside. The city has many tall buildings, but in the village there are more trees and open fields. Ahmed said he had to learn to be patient in the city because everything moves quickly. Now let's hear about Fatima. She has lived all her life in a city. She loves the convenience of city life. Hospitals, schools, and markets are close by. Fatima explained how she uses public transport every day, like buses and trains, to go to work. She says in the village, people often walk or use bicycles because there are fewer cars. Fatima's husband comes from a village, and she once visited him there. She noticed how the village feels like a big family. Neighbors help each other and often gather for meals or celebrations. The fresh air and open spaces made her feel relaxed. Fatima said the village has fewer lights at night, so you can see many stars in the sky. Let's think about the advantages of both places. Cities have many job opportunities and entertainment options, but villages offer a strong sense of community and closeness to nature. What do you think is more important for a happy life? Now imagine you are moving to a city from a village, or the other way around. What challenges do you think you would face? How would you adapt? Try to write a short paragraph about this in your notebook or on your phone. Writing while listening helps improve your English skills faster. Here is another story from my cousin Sarah. She moved to a village after living in the city for 10 years. Sarah said she was surprised by how friendly and slow-paced life became. People invited her to their homes and shared meals. She learned how to grow vegetables in a small garden behind her house. Sarah said she feels healthier and less stressed. Now, however, Sarah misses some city things like fast internet and big supermarkets. She often plans trips to the city to visit friends and buy things she cannot find in the village. Sarah's story shows us that both city and village life have good and difficult parts. What about your family? Have they lived in a city or a village? What stories can you remember from them about their life experiences? Think about these as you listen, and maybe write a few sentences about their differences. Today's episode gives you a chance to hear real examples of people's experiences with city and village life. Listening carefully and writing your thoughts will help you improve your English faster. Remember, practice is the key to success. Now, I have a question for you. If you had to choose, where would you live? The busy city or the quiet village? Why? Share your answer in the comments or say it out loud to practice speaking. Let's listen to a final story about a man named Omar. Omar works in the city but spends weekends in his village home. He enjoys both worlds. During the week, he likes the excitement of the city, but on weekends he appreciates the peace of the village. Omar says this balance helps him stay happy and healthy. Which story did you like the most? Ahmed's, Fatima's, Sarah's, or Omar's? Each person shows us a different view on city and village life. By listening to their stories, you get better at understanding real English and how people talk about their daily lives. Keep practicing your listening and writing. Try to write new words and phrases you hear. This will help your vocabulary grow. And remember to press the like button if you find this episode useful. Another difference between city and village life is how people spend their free time. My friend, James, lives in a city. He told me that in the city people often go to cafes, parks, or gyms to relax. There are many places to meet friends or try new activities. James likes jogging in the city park because it helps him stay healthy after a busy day at work. On the other hand, my Uncle David lives in a village. He enjoys simple activities like fishing by the river or walking in the fields. David says that, in the village, people often gather outside to talk and share stories. It is a peaceful way to spend time, away from the noise and crowd of the city. James mentioned that sometimes city life can feel lonely, because people are very busy with their own schedules. In contrast, David feels connected to his neighbors. Everyone knows each other, and they often help one another with daily tasks, like fixing a fence or sharing fresh food from their gardens. Think about your own free time. Do you like busy places with many things to do, or do you prefer quiet and calm environments? Write a few sentences about how you like to spend your free time. This will help your English writing skills. Now, let me share a story about my friend, Emma. She moved from a city to a village after getting married. Emma says that in the village, she learned to cook traditional meals from her husband's family. She enjoys the fresh vegetables and homemade bread they prepare together. Emma says this experience helped her understand more about culture and family life. Emma also noticed that the village has fewer shops and no big supermarkets. Sometimes she needs to plan her shopping carefully or travel to the city for special things. This made her realize that village life requires more planning, but offers a slower and more peaceful lifestyle. In the city, Emma used to buy everything quickly and did not think much about where food comes from. Now, she feels happier growing some vegetables and eating fresh food. This change taught her to appreciate nature and health more. Think about what you eat every day. Where does your food come from? Is it easy to get fresh vegetables and fruits where you live? Writing about this can help you use new words and practice your grammar. Let's listen to one more story. My friend Michael lives in a city and works in an office. He told me that traffic and crowds are the biggest challenges of city life. Sometimes it takes him 1 hour to travel 5 kilometers. This can be tiring, and Michael's sister Laura lives in a village. She says there is almost no traffic, and people walk or cycle to work. Laura enjoys the fresh air and quiet streets. She believes that village life is better for health and happiness. However, Laura has fewer job opportunities in the village. She sometimes worries about the future and wants to learn new skills. This shows us that living in a village or city depends on many things like jobs, health, and family. What do you think about travel in your city or village? Is it easy or difficult? Write a short paragraph about your daily travel. This will help you practice verbs and sentence structure. Remember, listening to these stories helps you understand real English. Writing your thoughts helps you remember new words and practice grammar. Keep practicing every day and you will see great progress. If you have any questions about today's topic or want to share your own story, please let me know. I am here to help you improve your English. Would you like to hear more stories about life in different places? We can talk about jobs, schools, food, and many other topics in future episodes. For now, think about the differences between city and village life we discussed today. Take a moment to review the new words: busy, peaceful, neighborhood, traffic, fresh, garden, relax, opportunity. Try to use them in your writing or speaking. Practice. Now let's hear from my friend Daniel. He lives in a small village but works in a city office during the week. Daniel says he enjoys the quiet village evenings, but misses the city's fast pace sometimes. On weekends, he walks in the village and meets neighbors. Daniel feels lucky to experience both worlds. Try to imagine Daniel's life. What would you like about it? What would be difficult? Write a few sentences about living between a city and a village. Keep listening carefully and writing often. This is the best way to improve your English skills step by step. Today, I want to tell you a longer story about my friend Robert. Robert was born and raised in a small village called Greenfield. For most of his life, he enjoyed the quiet and peaceful surroundings of the village. The air was clean, and there were many trees and open fields. Robert's family owned a small farm where they grew vegetables and kept some animals. Every morning, Robert helped his parents feed the chickens and water the plants. Life was simple, and people in the village knew each other very well. When someone had a problem, neighbors came to help quickly. Robert says this feeling of community made him very happy. When Robert finished school, he decided to move to the city of Springfield to find a job. The city was very different from Greenfield. It was full of tall buildings, many cars, and a lot of noise. At first, Robert felt lost. He did not know where to go, and the streets were crowded. He missed the quiet mornings and fresh air of his village. Every day in the city, there were many things happening at once. People walked fast, buses and taxis moved quickly, and there were always many people talking or using their phones. Robert found it difficult to relax because of the busy city life. Robert's first job was in an office building. The work was very different from what he was used to in the village. He spent most of his day sitting at a desk, using a computer and talking on the phone. He missed working outside on the farm and being close to nature. At lunchtime, Robert often ate fast food near his office because there were many restaurants and cafes close by. He liked the variety, but missed his mother's cooking from home. Over time, Robert learned to enjoy some parts of city life. He liked the public library because it had many books and a quiet place to read. He also discovered city parks where he could walk and relax after work. Robert made new friends who came from different countries. This helped him practice his English and learn about other cultures. He realized that living in the city gave him new opportunities to grow and learn. However, Robert still missed his village during weekends. On Saturdays, he traveled back to Greenfield to visit his family. He loved walking in the fields and breathing the fresh air. He enjoyed eating meals made with fresh vegetables from the garden. Robert felt very happy to be with his family and old friends. He said that the village was a place where time moved slower and life felt natural and calm. Robert's story shows some important differences between city and village life. The city is full of energy, opportunities, and new experiences. But it can also be stressful, noisy, and fast. The village offers peace, fresh air, and a strong sense of community. But sometimes it can feel quiet or even boring. Let's think about how these differences affect daily life. For example, in the city, people often live in apartments or small houses close together. This means they might not have large gardens or space outside. In the village, many families have bigger houses with gardens or even small farms. This gives people space to grow their own food and enjoy nature. But city life gives easy access to hospitals, schools, shops, and many services that might be far away in the village. I want to share another story from my friend Emily. Emily has lived in the city of Brookside all her life. She works as a teacher in a large school. Emily loves the energy of the city and the many things she can do after work. There are museums, restaurants, and theaters. She enjoys meeting friends in cafes and attending different events. But Emily knows that life in the city can be difficult sometimes. Traffic jams are common and it takes a long time to get to work in the morning. The noise from cars and construction can make it hard to sleep. Emily wishes there were more green spaces in her neighborhood. Emily often visits her husband's family in the village of Oakville. She enjoys the quiet nights and open skies. She says the village feels safe and friendly. The children play outside until sunset, and neighbors talk to each other on the streets. Emily finds the fresh food in the village very healthy. She likes the slower pace and time to relax. But sometimes she misses the city's conveniences, like big supermarkets and fast internet. Emily's story helps us understand that both city and village life have good and difficult parts. City life offers many choices and excitement, but it can be stressful and crowded. Village life is peaceful and connected to nature, but it can be quiet and sometimes lonely. Now, I want you to think about your own life. Do you live in a city or a village? What do you like most about your home? What do you wish could be better? Try to write a few sentences about this. Writing your thoughts will help you improve your English and remember new words. Let's talk about one more example. My friend James grew up in the city but moved to a village after he got married. James says the biggest change was the slower pace of life. In the village, people say hello to each other and stop to chat. James finds this very different from the city, where people often ignore each other because they are busy. He enjoys the fresh air and space to walk his dog. However, James misses the city's cafes and shops. Sometimes he feels lonely because there are fewer people to meet. James has learned to appreciate both places. He works from home now, so he does not have to travel long distances. He spends his days gardening and reading. He says living in a village helps him relax and be healthier. But on weekends he visits the city to meet friends and enjoy cultural events. James's experience shows that it is possible to enjoy both city and village life. Think about what you would like to do if you lived in a city or village. Would you prefer a busy life with many activities or a quiet life close to nature? Try to speak or write about this. Practice will help you use English more confidently. Today we have heard stories from Robert, Emily, and James. Each person shows us different experiences of city and village life. Listening to these stories helps you understand real English and how people talk about their lives. Writing your own thoughts helps you practice grammar and vocabulary. Remember, improving your English takes time and regular practice. Listen carefully. Now I want to tell you a very detailed story about my friend Sarah. Sarah grew up in a small village called Willow Creek. Willow Creek is a quiet place with few houses and many green fields. Sarah's family has lived there for many years. Her parents are farmers, and they grow vegetables like potatoes, carrots, and tomatoes. Every morning, Sarah wakes up early to help her parents with the farm work. She feeds the animals, collects eggs from the chickens, and waters the plants. Sarah enjoys the fresh air and the sounds of birds singing. The village has no busy roads, so it is very peaceful. People in Willow Creek know each other well. If someone needs help, neighbors come quickly. Sarah feels safe and happy living in this calm environment. When Sarah was 18 years old, she moved to the city of Lincoln to study at university. Lincoln is a large city with many people and tall buildings. Sarah found the city exciting but also very different from her village. The streets were always full of cars and buses, and many people walked fast on the sidewalks. At first, Sarah felt nervous because she did not know anyone. She missed the quiet and friendly village where she grew up. At university, Sarah met many students from different places. She liked learning new things and making friends. In the city, Sarah could visit many places like libraries, museums, and cafes. She enjoyed trying new foods and seeing different cultures. However, city life was also stressful. The noise from traffic and people was loud, and sometimes Sarah felt tired. She had to be careful because the city was not as safe as her village. Sarah learned to be more independent and organized. She took the bus to classes and learned how to manage her time between study and rest. After finishing university, Sarah got a job in the city. She works in an office with many other people. Her job requires using a computer and talking to clients on the phone. Sarah says that city work is very busy and sometimes stressful. She spends many hours sitting at her desk. During lunch breaks, she usually goes to nearby restaurants or parks. Sarah likes city parks because they give her a chance to relax and enjoy nature. She also goes to fitness classes to stay healthy. Sarah's husband Mark grew up in the city but moved to the village with her after they got married. Mark enjoys the peace of the village. He likes walking in the fields and working in the garden. Mark says the fresh vegetables from the farm taste much better than food from the supermarket. Mark and Sarah now live in a small house near Willow Creek. They like the quiet and clean environment. Their children play outside safely, and the family spends time together in the garden. Sarah sometimes thinks about the city and misses the excitement and many choices. She knows that living in a village means fewer shops, fewer schools, and fewer medical centers nearby. Sometimes they have to travel to the city for special services. But Sarah feels that the village life helps her family stay healthy and close. They eat fresh food, breathe clean air, and enjoy natural beauty every day. Let's look at another example. My friend Paul lives in the city of Riverdale. Paul works as a bus driver. He spends most of his day driving through busy streets. Paul says city life is fast and noisy. He likes meeting many different people on his bus route. Paul enjoys visiting restaurants and shops near his home. He says that in the city there is always something to do. However, Paul finds city life tiring. Traffic jams and crowds make travel slow and stressful. He often feels tired after work because the city noise does not stop, even at night. Paul's wife Lisa grew up in a small village. She prefers the quiet and calm of the countryside. Lisa likes to visit her parents in the village on weekends. She enjoys fresh air and open spaces. Lisa says village life is good for rest and relaxation. Paul and Lisa talk about their different experiences often. Paul wishes the city had more green spaces and less noise. Lisa thinks the village needs better job opportunities and schools. They both agree that city and village life have good and difficult sides. Think about the place where you live now. Do you like the busy streets and many activities, or do you prefer quiet and space? Try to write about what you like and what you do not like in your town or village. Writing will help you remember new words and improve your sentence skills. I also want to share a story about my friend Helen. Helen grew up in a small village but moved to a big city for work. She is a nurse in a hospital. Helen says that working in the city hospital is challenging but rewarding. There are many patients and emergencies. She enjoys helping people but finds the city life exhausting sometimes. Helen misses the village during holidays. She likes to go back and visit family. The village has beautiful hills and clean rivers. Helen enjoys hiking and fishing there. She says village life is slower and less stressful. But she also knows that living in the city gives her better career, chances and more friends. Helen and her husband David plan to live part-time in the city and part-time in the village. They want the best of both worlds. This shows that many people like to balance the advantages of city and village life. Think about your future. Would you like to live in a city, village, or both? Write a few sentences about your dream home. Practicing. Writing about your future plans is a good way to use English in real life. Today we have talked about many experiences from different people. Each story shows how city and village life are different but also connected. Listening to real stories helps you understand English better. Writing your ideas helps you use new vocabulary and improve grammar. I want to tell you a very long story about my friend James. James was born in a small village named Oakwood. Oakwood is a quiet place with only a few hundred people living there. There are many trees and open fields around the village. James's family has lived in Oakwood for many generations. His father is a carpenter and his mother runs a small bakery. Every morning, James helps his mother in the bakery. He sells bread and cakes to the neighbors. The village is very calm and the people are friendly. James knows almost everyone in Oakwood. People say hello to each other on the street and help each other when needed. James likes this feeling of community. In the village, life is slow and there is not much noise. At night, you can hear the sounds of animals and wind through the trees. This makes the village a peaceful place to live. When James turned 20, he moved to the city of Greenfield to study engineering at the university. Greenfield is a large city with many tall buildings and busy streets. The city has many people and there is always something happening. James was excited but also a little scared. The city was very different from his quiet village. He had to learn how to use buses and trains to get to school. In the city, James found many new friends from different countries. He liked the variety of restaurants and shops in Greenfield. The city has many parks where people go to relax, but the parks are smaller than the open fields in Oakwood. James noticed that the city is noisy. There are cars honking, people talking loudly, and music playing in many places. Sometimes James felt tired because of the noise and fast life, but he liked having many options for things to do. James's university was far from his home in Oakwood, so he stayed in a small apartment in the city. Living alone was a new experience for James. He had to cook his own meals and clean his apartment. He missed his family in the bakery in the village. However, he enjoyed meeting new people and learning new things. City life made James more independent and responsible. He learned how to manage money and time carefully. James also worked part-time in a bookstore near the university. This job helped him pay for some expenses and meet more people. After finishing university, James got a job as an engineer in a company in Greenfield. The job was challenging but interesting. James works with a team to design new machines. He spends many hours in an office with computers and meetings. City. Work is often busy, and James has to travel during rush hour. Traffic jams make travel slow, but James listens to podcasts and music on the way. He enjoys his job but sometimes feels the need for fresh air and quiet. James is married to Emily. Emily grew up in the city and works as a teacher. She likes the energy and convenience of city life. They live in a small house near the city center. Their house is close to schools, shops, and hospitals. Emily says the city has everything they need. She enjoys walking to work and visiting cafes with friends. However, Emily sometimes thinks about the calm life in a village. She likes to visit her parents who live in a small town with fewer people. James and Emily like to spend weekends outside the city. They often go to a nearby village called Maplewood. Maplewood has beautiful forests and a river. The village is quiet and clean. James and Emily enjoy hiking, fishing, and spending time in nature. These trips help them relax and forget about the busy city. They say that living in the city is good for work and social life, but village trips are important for health and peace. Let's look at another person named David. David has lived in the city of Brightville all his life. Brightville is a large city with many schools, hospitals, and entertainment places. David works as a taxi driver. He meets many different people every day and learns about their lives. David likes the excitement of city life. He enjoys eating at different restaurants and going to markets. David says that in the city he can find almost anything he wants easily. But David also knows that city life is not perfect. There is a lot of noise and pollution. Sometimes the streets are crowded and dirty. David lives in a small apartment with his wife Anna and their son. They do not have a garden or much outdoor space. Anna misses having a big yard for their son to play. She often talks about moving to a village for a quieter life. David and Anna visit Anna's parents who live in a village called Pine Hill. Pine Hill is peaceful with fresh air and open spaces. Anna's parents grow fruits and vegetables in their garden. Anna's mother cooks fresh meals from the garden food. David likes visiting Pine Hill because it feels calm and healthy. The children play outside safely, and the community is small and close. David and Anna often discuss their future. They want to give their son the best life. They think about living in the city for work and school, but also having a home in the Heights village for rest and relaxation. This shows that many people want to have the benefits of both city and village life. Now I want you to think about your own experience. Do you live in a city, village, or town? What do you like about your home? What do you find difficult? Try to write a few sentences about your place. Writing helps you remember new words and improve your English skills. Another story is about my friend Laura. Laura was born in a city called Eastwood but often visits her grandparents in the village. Her grandparents live in a small house surrounded by fields and trees. Laura loves going to the village during school holidays. She enjoys helping her grandparents with small tasks like feeding chickens and picking fruits. Laura says village life is slow and peaceful. She likes the clean air and quiet nights. Laura's parents live in the city and work there. They enjoy the shops, restaurants, and cultural events in the city. Laura's father works in a bank, and her mother is a doctor. They say city life has many opportunities for education and career. Laura sees that city life is busy and sometimes noisy, but it also has many fun activities. Laura's family tries to spend time both in the city and village. They know that each place has its own advantages. Laura learns new things at school in the city and relaxes in the village. She likes the best of both worlds. Think about your family. Do you visit a village or another town? What do you like about these places? Write a few sentences about your visits. Writing helps you use English naturally. These stories show that city and village life are very different. The city is busy, noisy, and full of activities. It has many schools, hospitals, and shops. The village is quiet, peaceful, and close to nature. It has clean air and friendly neighbors. People who live in cities often want to visit the village to rest. People who live in villages sometimes move to the city for better jobs and education. Listening to these real stories helps you understand different English words and phrases. Writing about your own experiences helps you remember new words and use English better. Keep practicing every day to improve your listening and writing skills. I will tell you a longer story about a man named Michael. Michael grew up in a small village called Willowbrook. Willowbrook is a place with only a few hundred people. The houses are small and made of wood. Around the village there are green fields, forests, and a small river. The village has one school, one shop, and a small clinic. Michael's parents are farmers. They grow vegetables and keep some animals like chickens and cows. Michael helped his parents every day. He fed the animals, watered the plants, and helped sell vegetables in the village market. Life in Willowbrook was simple and calm. Everyone knew each other well. People helped their neighbors and shared food when someone needed it. The village was quiet and the stars were very clear at night. Michael loved this quiet life because it felt safe and relaxed. When Michael was 18, he moved to the city of Lakeside for college. Lakeside is a big city with many people. There are tall buildings, many cars, and busy streets. Michael felt nervous at first. The city was loud and people moved very fast. In the city, there are many restaurants, shops, cinemas, and schools. Michael lived in a small apartment with 2 other students. He had to cook his own meals and clean the apartment. At college, Michael studied business. He made many new friends from different countries. The city was full of energy and opportunities. Michael liked the variety of food and things to do in the city. However, he missed the calmness of his village. Sometimes the noise of traffic and people made him feel tired. He missed the fresh air and green trees from Willowbrook. Michael's daily life in the city was very different. He took the bus every morning to college. The buses were often crowded and sometimes late. The streets were always busy. People were in a hurry and did not always say hello. In Willowbrook, everyone greeted each other, but in Lakeside, people mostly kept to themselves. Michael learned that city life is faster and more independent. He had to manage his time carefully to study, work, and relax. After finishing college, Michael got a job in a company in Lakeside. He works as a sales manager. The office is in a tall building in the city center. Every day, Michael meets many people and goes to meetings. The work is sometimes stressful and the hours are long. Michael enjoys the salary and career opportunities, but he misses nature and quietness. On weekends, Michael likes to visit his parents in Willowbrook. He feels peaceful there. He enjoys walking in the fields, fishing by the river, and talking with old friends. Michael is married to Sarah. Sarah is a teacher who works in a school in Lakeside. She enjoys her job and likes living in the city. Sarah says the city has many schools and good hospitals. She likes the convenience of city life. They live in a small house near the city center. Their house has a small garden where they grow some flowers and vegetables. Sarah and Michael want to have children soon. They talk about what is better for their future children: city life or village life. Sarah's parents live in the city. They enjoy the city because it is close to shops, doctors, and friends. However, Sarah's brother lives in a village called Pine Valley. Pine Valley is quiet and has many farms. Sarah sometimes visits Pine Valley to help her brother and enjoy the calm air. Sarah says that city life has many advantages but also some problems like pollution and noise. She thinks village life is healthy but sometimes boring for young people. Michael and Sarah like to spend holidays in Pine Valley or Willowbrook. They enjoy nature, fresh food, and the calm environment. They say that city life is good for work and social events, but village life is important for health and rest. They hope to have 2 homes in the future, one in the city for work and school and one in the village for relaxation and family time. Let me tell you about another person named Robert. Robert was born and raised in the city of Rivergate. Rivergate is a large city with many schools, hospitals, and parks. Robert works as a bus driver. He meets many people every day and learns about their stories. Robert likes the excitement of city life. He enjoys eating at different restaurants and going to markets. Robert says the city has everything he needs close by. But Robert also knows that city life has challenges. There is a lot of noise and traffic. The air is often dirty from cars and factories. Robert lives in a small apartment with his wife Emma and their daughter. They do not have a big yard or garden. Emma sometimes misses having a garden where she can grow flowers and vegetables. She talks about moving to a village for a quieter life. Robert and Emma visit Emma's parents who live in a village called Greenfield. Greenfield is peaceful with fresh air and open spaces. Emma's parents have a big garden where they grow fruits and vegetables. They cook fresh meals every day. Robert likes visiting Greenfield because it is calm and healthy. The children play outside safely and the neighbors know each other. Robert and Emma often talk about their future. They want their daughter to have a good life. They think about living in the city for work and school, but also having a home in the village for rest and peace. This shows that many people want the benefits of both city and village life. Now I want you to think about where you live. Do you live in a city, village, or town? What do you like about your home? What do you find difficult? Try to write a few sentences about your place. Writing helps you remember new words and improves your English skills. Another story is about a woman named Anna. Anna was born in a city called Eastwood, but often visits her grandparents in the village. Her grandparents live in a small house, surrounded by fields and trees. Anna loves going to the village during school holidays. She helps her grandparents with small tasks like feeding chickens and picking fruits. Anna says village life is slow and peaceful. She likes the clean air and quiet nights. Anna's parents live in the city and work there. They enjoy the shops, schools, and hospitals in the city. Anna's father works in a bank and her mother is a doctor. They say city life has many opportunities for education and career. Anna sees that city life is busy and sometimes noisy, but it also has many fun activities. Anna's family tries to spend time both in the city and village. They know that each place has its own advantages. Anna learns new things at school in the city and relaxes in the village. She likes the best of both worlds. Think about your family. Do you visit a village or another town? What do you like about these places? Write a few sentences about your visits. Writing helps you use English naturally. These stories show that city and village life are very different. The city is busy, noisy, and full of activities. It has many schools, hospitals, and shops. The village is quiet, peaceful, and close to nature. It has clean air and friendly neighbors. People who live in cities often want to visit the village to rest. People who live in villages sometimes move to the city for better jobs and education. Listening to these stories helps you understand different English words and phrases. Writing about your own experiences helps you remember new words and use English better. Keep practicing every day to improve your listening and writing skills. Let me tell you about a man named John. John was born in a small village called Maplewood. Maplewood is a quiet place with only a few hundred people. The houses in Maplewood are small and close together. Most people there are farmers or work in small local shops. John's family owns a small farm. They grow vegetables and fruits, and they have some animals like cows and chickens. Every morning, John helps his parents with the farm work. He feeds the animals and waters the plants. John likes the fresh air and the quiet sounds of nature. In Maplewood, the air is clean, and you can hear birds singing every day. The village is surrounded by green fields and forests. John knows many people in the village because it is small. Everyone greets each other in the morning and helps one another. The village has only one school and one small store. People in the village live simply and happily. When John finished school, he decided to move to a big city called Springfield. Springfield is very different from Maplewood. It has many tall buildings, wide roads, and many cars. The city is always busy. John felt excited but also nervous when he first arrived. The city streets are loud with cars and buses. There are many people from different countries. John rented a small apartment in the city center. The apartment is not very big, but it is close to his workplace and the college where he studies. In the city, John uses buses and trains to go to school and work. The public transport is busy, but it is fast. John likes that there are many restaurants and shops in Springfield. He can find food from many countries. The city has hospitals, cinemas, and parks too. John enjoys visiting the parks on weekends. The city has many activities, but it can be tiring sometimes. The noise of traffic and people talking is always around. John misses the quiet nights in Maplewood where he could sleep without any noise. John's work is in a big office building. He works as a marketing assistant. His job is busy and he meets many people every day. The work is sometimes stressful because there are many tasks to finish. John has to use his English skills to talk to customers and write emails. The city life teaches John to be independent and organized. He has to manage his time carefully between work, study, and rest. John likes the career opportunities in the city. He knows that in the village it is difficult to find good jobs like his. John is married to Lisa. Lisa is a nurse who works in a hospital in Springfield. Lisa likes her job and enjoys helping people. She says the city has many good hospitals and medical services. Lisa and John live together in their apartment. They like to visit John's parents in Maplewood on holidays. They enjoy the fresh food and calm environment there. John and Lisa want to have children in the future. They often talk about where to raise their children. They think the city has good schools, but the village has a healthy and peaceful environment. They hope to find a balance between city and village life. Now let me tell you about another woman named Emily. Emily was born and raised in Springfield, the big city. She works as a teacher in a primary school. Emily enjoys the city life. She likes going to markets, cafes, and parks. She lives in a small apartment with her husband David. David is an engineer and works in a large company. They do not have children yet. Emily and David like the convenience of city life. Everything they need is close to their home. But sometimes they feel tired of the busy city. The traffic and noise make them want to rest somewhere quiet. Emily's parents live in a village called Oakville. Oakville is a small village with green fields and many trees. Emily visits Oakville every month to see her parents. She enjoys the quiet mornings and fresh air. In Oakville, Emily helps her parents in their garden. She feels relaxed there. Emily's parents live in a small house with a big garden. They grow vegetables and flowers. The village life is slow but very calm. Emily thinks the village is a good place to rest and think. She says city life is exciting but stressful. Village life is peaceful but sometimes boring for young people. Emily and David often talk about their future home. They want a house with a garden. They dream of having a small house in the village where they can spend weekends and holidays. They want to enjoy nature and peace, but also keep their city jobs. This shows many people like both city and village life. They want to enjoy the advantages of both. Now think about your own life. Do you live in a city or a village? What do you like about your home? What is difficult? Try to write a few sentences about your place. Writing helps you remember new words and practice English. Let me share one more story. This is about a man named Peter. Peter grew up in a town called Hillview. Hillview is not a big city but not a small village either. It is a medium-sized town with many schools, shops, and parks. Peter's family owns a small restaurant. They cook and sell traditional food. Peter learned to cook from his parents. He likes to meet many customers and learn their stories. Hillview is a busy place but also friendly. People know each other but the life is faster than in a village. Peter decided to study hospitality in a city called Riverport. Riverport is a big city with many restaurants and hotels. Peter lives in a student dormitory. The city is always full of people and activities. He enjoys trying new foods and visiting different places. Peter misses his family and the slow life of Hillview. He says the city has many opportunities but also many challenges like traffic jams and pollution. Peter hopes to open his own restaurant in Hillview after finishing his studies. He wants to bring new ideas to the town and help the community. These stories show many differences between city and village life. The city is busy, loud, and full of activities. It offers many jobs, schools, hospitals, and entertainment. The village is quiet, peaceful, and close to nature. It offers clean air, friendly neighbors, and a simple life. Many people live in cities for work and education, but visit villages to relax and enjoy nature. Some people want to live in both places to have the best of both worlds. Listening to these real-life stories helps you learn new words and understand different English accents. Writing about your experiences helps you use new words and improve your grammar. Keep practicing listening and writing every day to improve your... Now I want to tell you about a man named James. James was born and raised in a big city called Springfield. Springfield is a large city with many people. It has tall buildings, many cars, and busy streets. James's family lives in a small apartment on the 10th floor of a tall building. Every morning, James wakes up early and takes the bus to his office. His office is in a big building in the city center. James works as an accountant. His job is to check numbers and help companies manage their money. James likes his job because it is interesting, but sometimes it is stressful. The city is always noisy and busy. There are many cars, buses, and people everywhere. Traffic jams happen every day. James spends a lot of time traveling to work and back home. He feels tired after long hours in the office and long trips on the bus. On weekends, James likes to go to the park near his apartment. The park is small but green. It has trees, benches, and a small lake. James enjoys walking in the park and watching the birds. He also likes to read books on the benches. The park is a quiet place in the middle of the busy city. Sometimes James meets his friends in the park. They talk about work, life, and their families. James thinks the city has many good things, but he misses the quiet and calm. He wishes he could live in a place with less noise and more nature. Now, let me tell you about another woman named Emma. Emma grew up in a small village called Maplewood. Maplewood is surrounded by fields and forests. It is a very peaceful place. Emma's family owns a small farm. They grow vegetables and keep some animals like chickens and cows. Emma helps her parents every day. She feeds the animals and waters the plants. She enjoys the fresh air and quiet life. There are no big buildings or many cars in Maplewood. The village has only one small shop and one school. People know each other and are friendly. Emma likes the simple life in the village. She enjoys walking in the fields and listening to the sounds of nature. She feels relaxed and happy in her village. Emma moved to a city called Oakville to study at university. Oakville is bigger than Maplewood. It has many schools, hospitals, shops, and restaurants. Emma lives in a student dormitory with other students. The city is noisy and busy. There are many cars and buses on the streets. Emma likes the city because she can learn many new things and meet people from different places. But she misses the quiet and fresh air of her village. Sometimes Emma feels tired of the city noise and the fast life. She likes to visit Maplewood during holidays. She enjoys the peace and calm. Emma thinks the village is a good place to rest. The city is good for work and study, but the village is better for relaxing. Emma is married to a man named Robert. Robert works as a teacher in Oakville. They live together in the city apartment. Robert likes the city because it has good schools and hospitals, but he also likes to visit Maplewood with Emma. They enjoy walking in the fields and sitting by the river. Robert says the village is a good place to forget about work and relax. Emma and Robert want to have children one day. They want to raise their children in a safe and healthy place. They are not sure if they will live in the city or village. They want to find a place where they can have both peace and good opportunities. Now, I want to share a story about a man named Mark. Mark grew up in a small village called Pine Grove. Pine Grove is a quiet village near the mountains. Mark's family owns a small restaurant. Many tourists come to Pine Grove to enjoy the mountains and nature. Mark helped his parents in the restaurant. He cooked food and served customers. Mark likes the friendly people in Pine Grove. Everyone knows each other and helps each other. The village has clean air and beautiful nature. Mark likes hiking and fishing in the nearby river. The village is safe and calm. Mark moved to the city of Eastwood to find a better job. Eastwood is a large city with many people and tall buildings. Mark found a job as a waiter in a big restaurant. The city is exciting, but it is very different from Pine Grove. The city is noisy and busy all the time. There are many cars and people. Mark lives in a small apartment in the city. Sometimes Mark feels lonely because he misses his family and friends in the village. But he likes the city because there are many places to visit and many things to do. Mark plans to save money and open his own restaurant one day. He wants to bring some village food to the city and share it with more people. Let us think about the differences between city and village life. In the city, there are many buildings, cars, and people. The city has many jobs, schools, and hospitals. People can find many things to do in the city. The city is fast and busy. Sometimes the city is noisy and crowded. In the village, life is slow and calm. The air is fresh and clean. People know each other and are friendly. The village has fewer shops and schools. People in the village work in farms or small businesses. The village is quiet and peaceful. Both city and village have good and bad points. It depends on what you like and need. Have you ever lived in a city or a village? What do you like more? Why? Try to write your ideas in simple sentences. Writing helps you learn new words and remember them. Listening to stories helps you understand English better and learn about different people and places. Let me tell you about a man named David and his wife Sarah. David was born in the city of Riverdale, and Sarah was born in a small village named Greenhill. David and Sarah met at university in a big city called Brentford. They both studied business. After they got married, they had to decide where to live. David wanted to stay in the city. He liked the fast life. He liked having many shops near his home. He liked that he could find different jobs easily. He also liked that the city had good roads, trains, and buses. Sarah, on the other hand, wanted to live in her village. She liked the quiet streets, the fresh air, and the open spaces. She liked waking up in the morning and hearing the sound of birds. She liked walking through green fields. David and Sarah had many talks about this. At first, they lived in Brentford. David worked in an office and Sarah worked from home. But after a few years, Sarah told David that she missed her village very much. She missed her parents. She missed the simple life. She told David she felt tired of the noise, the pollution, and the traffic in the city. David wanted to make her happy, so he said, "Let us try living in your village for some time." They moved to Greenhill. At first, David found village life strange. There were no tall buildings. There were no large shopping centers. There were no traffic lights. The streets were very quiet. He had to drive to the next town just to buy some simple things. But after some weeks, he started to like it. He could walk to the small market and greet every person there. People knew each other by name. If someone had a problem, others came to help. There was no noise at night. The stars in the sky were bright. David said to Sarah, "I never saw stars like this in the city." Sarah smiled and said, "This is why I love my village." David found work in a nearby town. He drove there each day. The road was peaceful, no traffic, just green trees on both sides. When he came home, he felt calm. He had time to sit with Sarah and drink tea in the garden. They talked and watched the birds. David started planting vegetables. He learned how to grow tomatoes and cucumbers. Sarah helped him. They worked together in the small garden beside their house. David said, "I feel peace here. My mind is calm." One day, David's friend Michael came to visit them. Michael was from the city. He said, "David, do you not get bored here? There is nothing to do." David smiled and said, "Michael, I thought the same before. But now I enjoy this life. I have time to think, to rest, to talk, and to live well." Michael said, "I never thought of it like that. Maybe I should try this life one day too." Later, David and Sarah had a son. They named him Daniel. Daniel grew up playing in the fields. He ran with the other village children. He climbed trees. He helped his parents in the garden. He went to a small school in the village. Sarah said, "Daniel is lucky. He grows up in a place where the air is clean and the people are kind." David agreed. He said, "Maybe one day he will move to the city, but now he has a strong start here." David's parents from Riverdale visited the village. They were surprised. They said, "We never thought village life could be so nice." They sat outside in the sun and drank tea. They listened to the wind in the trees. They watched their grandson run and play. They said, "We understand now why you like it here." But village life is not always easy. Sometimes it is hard. One day the electricity went out during a storm. There was no power for 2 days. No lights, no phone charging. David and Sarah used candles at night. They could not watch the news. They could not use the internet. David said, "In the city, we never had this problem." Sarah said, "That is true. But we are safe and together. That is more important." Another time, Sarah needed to see a doctor. But there was no hospital in the village. They had to drive to a town far away. It took them 1 hour to get there. David said, "This is one of the hard parts of village life. If someone is sick, help is far away." Sarah said, "Yes, but we have to be careful and keep healthy." Even with these problems, they stayed in the village. They felt happy and close to each other. David said, "I never thought I would love this life, but now I do." Sarah said, "I am glad you gave it a chance." Let me tell you another story. This one is about a young woman named Linda. She was born in the village of Willowfield, but when she was 20, she moved to a city called Kingsport to work as a nurse. Linda found the city life exciting at first. Everything was fast. She could eat out, shop, and see many new things. But after a year, she felt tired. Her job was hard. She worked long hours. She lived in a small room in a big building. The neighbors did not know each other. Everyone looked busy. No one smiled or said hello. Linda called her mother one evening and said, "I miss Willowfield. I miss walking by the river. I miss talking to the neighbors. I even miss the cows and chickens." Her mother said, "Life in the village is simple, but the heart is full. Think about what makes you happy." Linda listened. After 2 more years, she moved back to Willowfield. She worked at a small clinic near the village. She saw the same people every day. She helped mothers and children. She smiled more. She said, "Now I feel like I am living a full life." Linda married a man named Andrew. He was a teacher in the village school. They built a small house. They planted flowers in the yard. Every morning, Andrew walked to the school, and Linda walked to the clinic. In the evenings, they sat outside and talked. Linda said, "We may not have tall buildings or big shops, but we have peace, we have time, we have each other." Andrew said, "That is more than enough. Thank you for staying with me. Now I will continue the story with more details and examples that will help you improve your English listening and writing skills. Listen carefully and try to understand the differences between city and village life through these simple stories." After Linda and Andrew settled in Willowfield, they started to enjoy their daily routines. Andrew liked waking up early to prepare lessons for his students. He taught many children in the village school. Sometimes the school was small and did not have many books or computers. Andrew had to be creative. He used pictures and stories to help children learn. He said, "Teaching in the village is different. It is harder in some ways, but it feels good to see the children smile." Linda's work at the clinic was also very important. The clinic was small and did not have many doctors or nurses. But Linda and a few other helpers worked hard to care for the people. Sometimes patients came with simple problems, like colds or small injuries. Sometimes they came with more serious problems. Linda said, "In the village, people trust each other. When someone is sick, neighbors come to help. The community is close." She also told Andrew, "Even if we do not have many machines or equipment, we use what we have to help people." One of the biggest differences between city and village life was the pace. In the city, everything moved fast. People walked quickly on the streets. Cars and buses filled the roads. Shops were open late and many places were busy all day. But in the village, life was slower. People took time to greet each other. They stopped to talk on the street. Children played outside for hours. People worked in their gardens and farms. The village felt calm and peaceful. Linda said, "Sometimes I miss the excitement of the city. There are many things to do, and the city never sleeps. But here in the village I feel relaxed. I sleep better, I have time to think." Andrew agreed, and added, "The village is quiet at night. You can hear the wind, the birds, and sometimes the sound of cows." One important thing Linda and Andrew noticed was how people lived in the two places. In the city, many people lived in apartments or tall buildings. Sometimes neighbors did not know each other well. People were busy with their own lives. But in the village, most people lived in small houses with gardens. They knew their neighbors very well. If someone needed help, others were ready to assist. Linda told a story about Mrs. Thompson, an old woman in the village. Mrs. Thompson lived alone and could not do heavy work. When her garden needed cleaning, neighbors came to help her. When she was sick, people brought her food and medicine. Linda said, "This kind of support is very special. It shows the heart of village life." Andrew shared a story about his friend James, who lived in the city. James often worked late and was very busy. He rarely talked to his neighbors. Once, his car broke down in front of his building. No one came to help. He had to wait for hours for a tow truck. Andrew said, "In the city, life is busy, but sometimes people feel lonely." Another difference was transportation. In the city, people can use buses, trains, and taxis easily. The roads are wide and many. But in the village, transportation is limited. People usually use their own cars or bikes. Sometimes there is no bus service, and it is hard to go to the city quickly. Linda said, "We have to plan trips carefully. If you forget something, you cannot just go back quickly." Linda and Andrew also talked about education. In the city, schools have many teachers, books, and computers. Students can learn many subjects. In the village, schools are smaller and have fewer resources. But teachers work hard to give the best education. Andrew said, "It is important to support village schools so children have a good future." One day, Linda and Andrew invited some friends from the city to visit the village. Their friends were amazed by the fresh air and green fields. They enjoyed walking on quiet roads and seeing the stars at night. But some friends said they missed the city's energy and choices. Linda said, "Both places have good and bad sides. It depends on what you need." Linda and Andrew's life in the village taught them many lessons. They learned to appreciate quiet moments. They learned to enjoy nature. They learned the value of community and helping each other. David, Linda, and Andrew all showed us that life in the city and village is different, but both can be good in their own way. This story shows that understanding these differences helps us respect others' choices. Some people like the city, others like the village. Both places have their own beauty and challenges. It is important to listen, learn, and now let's continue the story of Andrew and Linda and explore more about the differences between village life and city life. One day, Andrew received a letter from his younger brother, Daniel. Daniel lived in the city and worked at an office. He was feeling very tired and stressed. In his letter, he wrote, "Andrew, I work long hours and I don't get enough rest. The traffic is always busy. People are always in a hurry. I feel like I don't have time to breathe." After reading the letter, Andrew spoke to Linda and said, "I think Daniel should visit us in the village. He needs some fresh air and rest." A few days later, Daniel arrived in Willowfield. When he got off the small bus, he looked around and said, "It's so quiet here, I can hear birds and the wind." Andrew smiled and said, "Welcome to our peaceful world." That evening, they sat outside and had dinner with their neighbors. The stars were bright in the sky. Daniel said, "In the city, I never see stars. The lights are too bright." Linda replied, "In the village, we don't have tall buildings or many streetlights, so the sky is clear." The next morning, Daniel walked with Andrew to the school. On the way, they met many people who greeted them kindly. Daniel said, "Everyone knows your name here." Andrew nodded and said, "Yes, people in the village are like one big family. We care about each other." At school, Daniel watched the children play and laugh. The school did not have fancy buildings, but the children looked happy. Daniel said, "This place is small, but it feels full of life." Later that day, they visited a small farm. The farmer's name was Henry. He was friendly and showed Daniel how to collect eggs and feed the cows. Daniel laughed and said, "I never did this before. It feels nice to work with my hands." Henry said, "On a farm, we work hard, but we enjoy it. Every day is simple but meaningful." Daniel smiled and said, "I understand now why Andrew and Linda chose to live here." Next day, Linda took Daniel to the village clinic. A woman named Susan came with her baby. The baby had a small fever. Linda checked the baby and gave some medicine. Daniel watched how gentle and kind Linda was. After Susan left, Daniel said, "You don't have a big hospital, but you do your best with what you have." Linda replied, "Yes, in the village. We help each other. We don't have everything, but we have care and love." That afternoon, Daniel sat near the river and wrote in his notebook. He looked at the trees, the hills, and the clear sky. He wrote, "In the city, I work hard to earn money, but here I learn how to enjoy life." He also wrote about how people in the village share things. If someone has too many apples, they give some to their neighbor. If someone's car breaks down, people come to help. Daniel said, In the city, you often pay for help. In the village, help comes from the heart. A few days later, Daniel met a man named Mr. Clark, who had moved from the city many years ago. Mr. Clark said, "I used to work in an office just like you. I made good money, but I was not happy. Then I came here and opened a small bakery. I make less money, but I wake up smiling every day." Daniel asked, "Don't you miss the city?" Mr. Clark said, "Sometimes, yes. I miss some things. But here I found peace and health. I sleep well. I eat better. I have time to spend with my wife and children." Daniel stayed in the village for 2 weeks. Each day he felt better. His mind was calm and his body was rested. Before he left, he told Andrew and Linda, "This place changed me. I learned that life is not just about money and speed. Life is also about peace, people, and purpose." Andrew said, "City life has many good things, but village life teaches you how to slow down and enjoy simple things." When Daniel returned to the city, he made some changes. He started to walk to work instead of driving. He grew plants on his balcony. He visited his neighbors more often. He said, "I cannot move to the village now, but I can live like I learned there." He even started helping at a local school on weekends, teaching children how to write and speak clearly. He said, "Helping others gives me a different kind of happiness." One day, Daniel received a letter from Andrew. In the letter, Andrew wrote, "We miss you in Willowfield. The children still talk about your visit. I hope you are doing well in the city." Daniel smiled and wrote back, "Thank you. The village gave me new eyes to see the world. I try to live with more care, more time for others, and more peace." Stories like these help us understand the differences between city life and village life. In the city, people often have more choices, more technology, and more jobs. But they also face more stress, noise, and loneliness. In the village, life is simpler, quieter, and more connected. People work hard but feel closer to each other. They share more and help more. As you listen, try to write a few sentences about what you have learned. Use simple words in short sentences. Practice makes your English stronger. Keep listening and writing every day. That is the best way to improve. Let me start by telling you about another family. Their names are James and Mary. They live in the city. James works in a bank. Every morning he wakes up early and takes the crowded bus to work. He says, "The bus is always full. Sometimes I have to stand all the way to work." Mary works at a supermarket near their home. She says, "The supermarket is very busy. I meet many people every day, but I do not have time to talk with them. We are always in a hurry." James and Mary have a small apartment on the 5th floor. They do not have a garden or a yard. Mary says, "I miss having flowers and fresh air. The apartment is nice, but it feels small sometimes." James agrees. He says, "When I come home, I want to rest. But the city noise is loud. Cars, buses, and people talking all the time." One weekend, James and Mary decided to visit a village far from the city. They stayed at a small house owned by James's uncle. His uncle's name is Robert. Robert lives in the village with his wife, Helen. When James and Mary arrived, Robert said, "Welcome to the village. You will see a different life here." Mary smiled and said, "I hope it will be quiet and peaceful." The next morning, James and Mary woke up early. The sun was shining and birds were singing. James said, "This is so different from the city. No noise from cars or buses, just the sound of nature." Mary went outside and saw green fields, trees, and flowers. She said, "I want to live here, at least for a little while." Robert took them to visit the village market. The market was small but full of fresh fruits, vegetables, and handmade goods. Mary bought fresh bread from a baker named Tom. Tom said, "In the village we know all our customers. I bake bread every morning with love." Mary said, "The bread smells so good. It tastes better than bread from the supermarket." James helped Robert in his garden. Robert grows tomatoes, carrots, and potatoes. James said, "I did not know growing vegetables was hard work, but it feels good to work outside." Robert said, "Yes, gardening teaches patience and care. In the city, people buy vegetables, but here, we grow our own food." That afternoon, Helen prepared a home-cooked meal. They all sat together and ate fresh vegetables and chicken. Mary said, "This meal tastes so fresh and healthy. It is different from the fast food we eat in the city." Helen smiled and said, "In the village, we eat simple food, but it is full of flavor. We use fresh ingredients from the garden." James and Mary also visited the village school. The school was small but clean. The children were happy and friendly. Mary said, "The school is smaller than my city school, but the children seem to enjoy learning." Robert said, "In the village, teachers know every child. They can give more attention to each student." James and Mary spent 3 days in the village. Each day they felt more relaxed and happy. Mary said, "I like the slow pace of life here. In the city, everything is fast. Here, I can take my time." James said, "I understand now why some people choose to leave the city and live in the village. It is peaceful and healthy." Before leaving, James said to Robert, "Thank you for showing us this life. I want to find a balance between city and village life." Robert said, "Yes, that is important. City life gives many opportunities. Village life gives peace and community. You can take good things from both." After returning to the city, James and Mary made some changes. They started growing plants on their apartment balcony. They also took walks in the nearby park to enjoy nature. Mary said, "Even small green spaces help me feel calm." James said, "I try to find quiet moments during the day. It helps me work better." This story shows that city life and village life each have good and difficult parts. The city has many jobs, schools, and stores, but it can be noisy, crowded, and fast. The village is quiet, clean, and close to nature, but there may be fewer jobs and stores. When you listen to stories like these, try to think about your own life. Do you live in a city or a village? What do you like and not like about your home? Try to write simple sentences about your thoughts. For example, you can write, "I live in a city. It is busy, but I like the shops." Or, "I live in a village. It is quiet, but I want more places to work." Listening and writing practice will help you speak and understand English better. Try to listen every day and write a few sentences about what you hear. This is the best way to learn English naturally. You can also talk to your family or friends about these stories. Practice speaking English as much as you can. If you want, I can tell you more stories and examples. These will help you learn more words and understand how people live in different places. Learning English with stories is fun and useful. Let me tell you about a man named Michael. Michael lives in a big city. He works as a teacher at a school. Every morning he wakes up early and takes a taxi to work. He says, "The city is busy in the morning. The roads are full of cars. Sometimes it takes a long time to get to school." Michael has a small apartment. He says, "The apartment is comfortable, but I miss having a garden." Michael's wife Laura works as a nurse in a hospital near their home. Laura says, "The hospital is very busy. I meet many patients every day. It is a tiring job, but I like helping people." They do not have children yet. They live close to many stores, restaurants, and parks. Laura says, "It is easy to buy what we need. But sometimes the city noise makes it hard to sleep." One weekend, Michael and Laura decided to visit a village. They went to the village where Laura's parents live. Her parents' names are John and Mary. John and Mary live in a small house with a big garden. When Michael and Laura arrived, John said, "Welcome to the village. Here life is slow and peaceful." Laura smiled and said, "I am happy to be home." The next morning, Michael and Laura woke up to the sound of birds singing. Michael said, "This is very different from the city. It is quiet and calm." Laura went outside and saw green fields and trees. She said, "The air is fresh and clean. I like it here." John showed them the village. The village has a small market where people sell fresh vegetables, fruits, and eggs. Laura said, "The food here is fresh and healthy. It tastes better than the food in the city stores." John said, "In the village, we grow most of our food." Michael helped John in the garden. They planted tomatoes and carrots. Michael said, "Gardening is hard work, but it feels good to be outside." John said, "Yes, working in the garden teaches patience." That evening, Mary cooked dinner with fresh vegetables from the garden. They ate together and talked about their day. Laura said, "The food is simple but very tasty. I like eating like this." Mary said, "In the village, we eat food that is good for our health." Michael and Laura visited the village school. It was smaller than the city school, but the children were happy and friendly. Michael said, "The school here is nice. The teachers know all the students. That is good for learning." They stayed in the village for a few days. Each day they felt more relaxed. Laura said, "I like the quiet life here. It is good for resting." Michael said, "I understand why people choose to live in the village. It is peaceful and safe." Before leaving, Michael said to John, "Thank you for your hospitality. I want to find a way to enjoy both city and village life." John said, "Yes, it is important to find balance." Back in the city, Michael and Laura made some changes. They started growing plants on their balcony. They also took walks in the park to enjoy nature. Laura said, "Even small green spaces help me feel calm." Michael said, "I try to find quiet moments during my day. It helps me feel better." This story shows that city life and village life both have good and difficult parts. The city has many jobs, schools, and stores, but it can be noisy, crowded, and busy. The village is quiet, clean, and close to nature, but there may be fewer jobs and stores. Now, think about your own life. Do you live in a city or a village? What do you like about your home? What do you want to change? Try to write simple sentences about your thoughts. For example, "I live in a city. It is busy, but I like the shops." Or, "I live in a village. It is quiet, but I want more places to work." Listening to stories like these helps you understand different ways of life and improves your English. Writing about what you hear helps you practice spelling and grammar. Speaking about these stories with friends or family will help you speak English more confidently. If you want, I can tell you more stories to help you learn more English words and understand life better. Learning English with stories is a good way to practice every day. Thank you for listening so carefully. Now I will continue with more examples and more details to help you understand the differences between life in the city and life in the village. These stories will also help you improve your listening and writing skills. After listening, try to write what you remember. This helps you learn English better. You can also talk to someone about the story in English. This will help you become more confident when speaking. Let's now talk about another family. Their names are David and Emma. David is a shopkeeper and Emma is a schoolteacher. They live in a small village called Greenfield. Every morning, David opens his shop at 7 o'clock. He sells bread, milk, rice, oil, and many small things that people use every day. He knows everyone in the village. People come to his shop not only to buy things but also to talk. David says, "In the village, people are like family. We talk about everything. We help each other." Emma walks to the village school. It takes her only 10 minutes. She teaches children from age 5 to age 10. Emma says, "I know all my students very well. I also know their parents. We work together to help the children learn." After school, she walks home and sometimes helps David in the shop. In the evening, they sit outside their home, drink tea, and watch the sunset. One day, David's cousin named James came to visit from the city. James lives in a busy city called Riverdale. He works in a large office building. He came to the village for a short holiday. James said, "I like this village. It is calm. I can hear the birds and I can see the stars at night." He stayed with David and Emma for a week. James was surprised by how friendly everyone was. When he went to the shop with David, people said hello and asked about his day. James said, "In the city, people are always in a hurry. We do not often stop to talk. Here, people take time to speak kind." During his visit, James helped David in the shop. He learned how to arrange things, talk to customers, and give change. He said, "This is new for me. It feels good to do simple work and talk to people." Emma also took James to the school. James read a short story to the children. The children listened with interest and asked questions. After the class, James said, "These children are very curious. They want to learn. I am happy I could help." One afternoon, they went to a farm outside the village. A man named Thomas owns the farm. He grows vegetables and keeps chickens. Thomas showed James how to plant seeds and feed the chickens. James said, "This is hard work, but it is good for the body and the mind." Thomas smiled and said, "Yes, it is simple, but it gives us food and peace." At night, they sat outside. The sky was full of stars. James said, "In the city, I never see this many stars. It is so quiet here. I feel rested." David said, "This is what we like about village life. It gives us peace and health." After a week, James returned to the city. But he told David and Emma that he wants to visit again. He also said he will try to slow down his city life. He said, "I want to eat healthy food, take time to talk to people, and find quiet moments." Now let us look at another person named Sarah. She is a mother and she lives in the city with her husband Richard and their 2 children, Lucy and Daniel. Sarah works in a clothing store. Every day she takes the bus to work. It takes 30 minutes. Her husband Richard works as an electrician. He repairs lights, fans, and machines in offices and homes. Their children go to a city school. Sarah says, "City life is fast. There are many jobs and schools, but sometimes we feel tired because of the noise and traffic." On weekends, Sarah and Richard take their children to a small park near their home. They walk, play, and eat snacks together. Sarah says, "We try to find quiet places even in the city." One day, Sarah's family went to visit her friend Hannah, who lives in a nearby village. Hannah has 3 children and a big yard where they grow vegetables and keep goats. When Lucy and Daniel saw the goats, they became excited. They said, "We have never seen goats this close." Hannah let them feed the goats and pick tomatoes from the garden. Richard helped Hannah's husband Peter fix a broken fence. Peter said, "In the village we do most things by ourselves. We fix things, grow food, and work together." Richard said, "This is new for me, but I like learning how to do these things." That night, the two families had dinner outside. They ate rice, vegetables, and fresh fruit. The children played under the stars. Sarah said, "This is peaceful. The children are happy. Maybe we should visit more often." When they returned to the city, Lucy and Daniel talked about the goats and the garden every day. Sarah said, "Even though we live in the city, we can still bring some village life into our home." She started growing herbs in small pots and began cooking more simple meals with fresh food. From these stories, we can see that city life and village life are both special in different ways. City life gives us jobs, schools, hospitals, and shopping places. It is busy and sometimes stressful. Village life is quiet, peaceful, and closer to nature. But there are fewer schools, fewer jobs, and not many shops. Some people choose the city for work. Some people choose the village for peace. Some people try to enjoy both by visiting the village when they can or by bringing village habits into the city. You can ask yourself, which life do you prefer? Do you want the speed of the city or the calm of the village? Listening to these real-life examples helps you understand English better. You hear how people speak, what words they use, and how they describe things. After listening, try to write what you remember. Try writing about your own life too. This will help you learn faster